Hi, I just finished editing this video. This took me all day. I should let you all know that this video contains spoilers. So if you want to go in fully blind to the new season, and if you haven't watched it yet, watch it, and you've been warned. Hello, the following video that you're about to watch is only made for critique and entertainment purposes only. I do not own the following clips of the show in question. Most of the clips have also been modified to fall under fair use, and I highly recommend anybody to support the official releases of the show in question. I also do not recommend watching this video if you are under the age of 13. The following video has references to adult themes and somewhat mild cursing, though nothing explicit is shown. With that out of the way, I hope you enjoy this video. After 15 years, we saw the return of the cult classic series Panty Stocking with Garter Belt, with a new season titled New Panty Stocking with Garter Belt. What the fuck is this? New Super Mario Brothers? I made a video going over my first impressions of the show following its initial release, where I discussed its premiere episode, Panty Stocking Homecoming. I recommend giving that video a watch if you want my more in-depth thoughts on that episode in particular. But to keep it brief, I really loved it. It captured everything I loved about the original show, had a nice coat of paint with a shift in art direction and new animation. It was absolutely hilarious, and I think that the English voice cast was very promising. But that video is almost half a year old now, and the season has been wrapped up since September. So now that every episode is out, what do I generally think of New Panty Stocking? How do I view New Panty Stocking in comparison to the original? Did it manage to maintain its quality from its premiere? And most importantly, do I think it's better than Zom 100? That's a fucking stupid question. So let's talk about the new season. The good, the bad, the bitch. This will not be a super in-depth review of every episode, as that will be saved for a later date, but I will go over some key episode and plot points when going over what I liked and disliked, similar to what I did on my video of the wonderfully weird world of Gumball. So with all of that out of the way, let's talk about the voice cast again. This was unsurprisingly the biggest point of discussion when I released my first impressions video, which makes sense, as Panty Stocking was one of the rare shows where the English dub was the preferred way to watch it. I'm speaking about the general consensus, by the way. I know there are some people who like the sub version more, which is completely valid. And given the studio change from Crunchyroll to a newer studio, Pixelogic Media, the voice changes were going to be met with some people being caught off guard. And unsurprisingly, the voice change that was met with the most mixed reception was with Panty, which again, makes complete sense. Out of all the major characters, Panty without a doubt had the most drastic voice change. I myself even stated in my original video that although I didn't mind Courtney Lynn's Panty, it was a pretty big change, being something I felt I needed to get used to as well as hear more from.
You're working way too hard here. Did she seriously refer to herself as Barbie, like the outdated fetish doll with a zillion lame-ass occupations?
More importantly, I'm hungry. Want to go get cake together? We can go to your favorite joint, Sweet Cake Factory.
Though as the season progressed, I actually found myself really enjoying her performances more and more, especially given that Panty herself had a shift in her character throughout the season. It was enough for me to say it was a good call in the studio for the change in voice direction. As for everybody else, my thoughts have remained unchanged. Garter still holds a lot of energy with great deliveries, Brief sounds great, the Demon Sisters both sound fantastic, and I only loved Christina V's Stocking more and more throughout the season. I was very happy with how one of my favorite voice artists portrayed one of my favorite characters. Overall, I really loved the voice cast for this season, and hell, I was even onto something in my original video. As I stated when discussing Panty's voice change, it seems like they tried to make the English dub feel more in line with the Japanese dub. As in the episode Fa Fa Fuck, there was a musical portion that pissed off all the Vizipop fans and had Panty's Japanese voice actress sing for the duration of the song. It was only until halfway through the song I realized this was being sung by Erisa Ogasawara, Panty's Japanese voice actress. I even asked some friends about this and they said they thought the exact same thing. So if this is what Pixelogic was going for, then they did a really good job all things considered. Not to mention this dub still has a lot of great line deliveries and pieces of dialogue like the original show. If you're still skeptical about whether or not the dub is worth watching, then I would at least give a couple episodes a chance before making up your mind. But what do I overall think of the new season as a whole? After praising its premiere episode to death, did the rest of New Panty Stocking manage to stick the landing? For the most part, it absolutely did. I'm just gonna come out and say it, I loved New Panty Stocking all the way through. It was extremely fun to watch. And for as much as this season isn't perfect, I honestly think I found myself enjoying this season more than the original. I wouldn't say New Panty Stocking is necessarily better, just I slightly prefer it. Both seasons have their pros and cons that put them on equal footing for me. but I think I just find new Panty Stocking more memorable. I said this in my Gumball video that I personally found myself liking the original Panty Stocking more as a teenager compared to as an adult. It's just that the original season was mostly focused on being more comedic and unhinged, which in of itself isn't a bad thing, but when an episode is over-reliant on jokes that don't land, it tends to make the episodes in question more one-note and forgettable. Like, be honest with me, who the f thinks Chuck to the Future is their favorite Panty and Stocking episode? You're more likely to find someone whose favorite anime is f***ing Rent a Girlfriend. New Panty and Stocking just manages to have more substance to it and also feel more memorable. But again, I definitely do think that it has its issues. I'm just gonna come out and state my overall biggest issue with New Panty and Stocking. I'm sure most of you who watched the season would know what I'm talking about. It's the overall episode format. See, in the original show, Panty and Stocking is structured like an average Western cartoon. The show has 22-minute runtimes with 2 11-minute segments per slot. It's simple, it's straight to the point, and it's very well structured. New Panty and Stocking, on the other hand, does something kind of different. The first episode as well as the mid-season finale are both full-on 22 minutes, which makes sense. There's even some normal 2 11-minute segmented episodes just like the original, but a good chunk of the episodes from the season for some reason have 3 segments, and the runtimes for each segment is all over the place. Because the show is still limited to the 22-minute runtime, this structure at times feels fairly unbalanced. There are definitely times where they do balance the structure decently well, but then there are times where you could easily tell that there was one episode that was massively favored over the others. And I think that there's no better example than episode 3. It starts off with the episode Project S, The Worst Ever Dojo, which is a really good episode that is well paced, fully fleshed out, and has some really good characterization. But right afterward is the worst offender of this issue, the episode Bitch Perfect, which I think had a lot of potential to be one of the best episodes of the season. Having a free-for-all type rivalry between all the main 4 girls over an Instagram war sounds like an extremely fun episode concept for this show, but this segment is relegated to just barely 5 minutes. So in that time, they introduce the plot of the episode, repeat the main sex joke for a couple of minutes, and then it ends abruptly. And if you know me, you know I hate it when a show or episode ends so abruptly without any sort of resolution. And it was all to make room for the last segment being a parody of the Fast Furious.
In this movie, it will be more like the Fast Furious.
This 3-episode structure is not very stable, and while there are some episodes that at least utilize it well, it still heavily restricts some episodes from meeting their full potential. Though to be fair, in all honesty, I think I understand why this decision was made. With the Demon Sisters being prominent main characters this time around, I feel they wanted to get as much material with every character as they could. Not to mention, if the last hiatus is anything to go by, we may never know what will be the next time we even see these characters again. And if that was the case, I personally think that the solution should have just been to add more episode slots. You can tell a good story with 13 episodes. There are some shows that tell a good story in 11, but for the amount of content that New Panty and Stocking is providing, 13 episodes wouldn't have been enough to cover it if it was going by the 2-segment structure. So it probably would have been better if the season had a total of 18 or even 20 episodes. I understand it's more work and we'd obviously have to wait longer, but the whole 3-episode structure is just way too limiting, especially given the season's bigger focus on the characters themselves. I just hope that they go back to the 2-episode format next season, because this 3-episode format just really didn't work for me. But like I said, they at least utilized it to the best they could in the good majority of the season. And there's a lot of banger episodes in this season, but most notably, they shifted the focus from being more comedy focused to being character driven. And if you know me, you know that this is a massive positive in my eyes. I say this all the time, but character writing is the one big thing you have to get right in order for me to enjoy your show. And I think New Panty and Stocking went about this direction relatively well. As I stated, the Demon Sisters have a noticeably bigger role than they have in Season 1. Most notably the episodes Long Bitch Yard, 666 Candles, and The Part-Time Job Before Christmas, for example. Compared to Season 1, the Demon Sisters are equal contributors to Panty and Stocking, and throughout the season they're often seen fighting alongside them, while also maintaining their rivalry from the past season, which was not only a cool way to maintain the status quo, but also shake it up for the season to expand upon some ideas. 666 Candles in particular is probably my favorite episode to focus on them, as it really distinguishes Knee Socks apart from Scanty, and throughout the episode she actually manages to withhold a very strong dynamic with Panty. These two surprisingly play off each other so well that I might even say that this is one of the strongest episodes from the season. Meanwhile, in Longest Bitch Yard, there's an equal focus on all 4 of them, and they all have different ways of playing off one another, as well as share a great dynamic as a group throughout the episode. It tells me that all 4 of them can very much stand well on their own, which is something I love to see. This one is easily a contender for one of the best as well. And this is yet to even mention the new characters of the season. I was very much anticipating the introduction of the Angel Boys in particular, Polyester and Polyurethane. Despite not showing up for a little more than half of the season, these guys do not disappoint when they're on screen. Their introduction episode is a contender for my favorite episode of the season. Not only they could be super badass and serve as very threatening antagonists of Panty Stocking, but more times than not, these guys are fucking gut-busting hilarious. Their ironic Gen Z lingo is so stupid it makes them so unbelievably fun to watch.
Bruh, the thought of ever being as mid as them totally gives me the ick! Yuck, no, absolutely not! Hard pass! Oh my god, if we're ever like them, we're gonna fucking kill myself!
Even on the rare occasions they aren't the antagonists, they're still super fun additions to the show and make the cast that much more memorable. There's also Gunsmith Bitch, who is a surprisingly really fun addition to the show. She always has this chill, nonchalant attitude whenever she appears. It's both really charming and surprisingly pretty funny in a lot of scenes. In a way, she reminds me a lot about this ditzy airhead girl from Comey Can't Communicate, where she's just really charming and endearing in her own way. Sadly, she only appears in 3 episodes or so, 2 of which she's just besties with Stocking for some reason, which I kind of fucking love that. But regardless, she was a really fun addition to the show, and I would love to see more of her. Like I said, this season has a strong sense of character writing, which I think plays into the finale very well. Again, I plan on going in depth on this finale in a later video, but for a quick TLDR, this finale is fucking awesome. I think it's all the more impactful due to it taking place in heaven, which has been foreshadowed and referenced throughout the season. Not only it offers some really great world building, but it also raises the stakes, and the antagonists are actually genuine threats that leave an impact on the characters. The climax is fucking great, the stakes are high, the character writing is very well done, and I love how every character plays some sort of role in here. Even Gunsmith Bitch. I honestly think it's on par with the first season's finale in terms of how much I loved it. I would love to go in more detail about it later, so I encourage you to stay tuned for the future. And just like that, those are my thoughts on new Panty Stocking overall. Does it have its issues? Yes. Some of which are major, I can't lie. But do I regret having this experience? Fuck no, it was one of the best revivals I've ever seen and they succeeded spectacularly. Let me know what you think of new Panty Stocking in the comments down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Oh, you want me to talk about the post-credits scene? Sure, yeah, I'll try. So at the tail end of the finale, Panty and Brief are seen on the Ferris wheel. That is until they're dragged into the fucking underworld by supposedly the mother of the Demon Sisters. We then cut to Stocking as a priest taking care of these new characters, Junior and Bastard, who are on the search for Panty and Brief, who apparently got married and had kids after going to the fucking underworld. And the episode just ends with that bombshell of an information setting up for season 3. What the fuck? Okay, I see 2 possible ways this can go. 1, they could call back to the time travel episode and this could all go back to the status quo in no time, which is probably something that they might do. Or 2, this is what the next season is going to be all about, and it'll act as one final adventure for Panty and Stocking, ending the series, which I honestly don't know how to feel about. I'm saying this because I obviously know Panty and Stocking isn't gonna last forever, especially with the long-ass hiatuses in between seasons. I can see the show going into a new ambitious direction for its final season, but I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see. Regardless, big kudos to everybody who worked on this show. I loved it a lot, you guys really did it justice. Though you had the perfect opportunity for Panty to say, "F it up because it's her birthday, bitch," and you didn't go for it. Mega L, your show sucks. This is why Stocking's better.